Hello again, everybody, and I'm here, Irina with my guest, Stefan Zavalin, and today we are going to be talking about interesting topic. Follow your heart, not your head. How many times do we ever hear that, Stefan?
Almost never. Well, and I think it's because we do it the wrong way and little things, but then we don't do it on the right things. So when you see that, oh, I really want that thing, that I want to buy it, I'm gonna get that thing or eat this food. We follow our hearts there, but then when it comes to big life decisions, oh, I don't know, that seems risky. I'm not sure. How will I do it? I think we get in our own ways. Yeah.
Oh my God, so true. And you know what? I realized the most people can't really make the decisions. We are so trained that somebody else is making that decision for us, right? Talking about our management when we were in the corporate job, partners, parents, right? Everybody else. So basically, we always rely on somebody's for opinion to give us the okay, right? So it's kind of relearning and figuring out that we are the leaders in our life. So we have to claim that leadership and actually decide for ourselves and not asking anybody else what they think about it.
I know other people have talked about this, and I don't want anybody to go, oh, that's his shtick. But this kind of the idea of complete ownership over what it is that you're doing, it's hard to do because that's what we're afraid of when it's a big decision. We're afraid to go, there's nobody else to blame but myself. That's a really vulnerable and scary place to be. But in reality, everything that has happened and the decision that you've made are largely to your choices. Especially as we get into a lot of these mundane things and we think about all the little decisions we make throughout the day, so much of it is in your control. But whether or not you choose to follow your heart or your head, that's up to you.
Yay! So let's talk a little bit about heart versus head. What made you do what you do? What was the pivotal moment in your life when you said, screw that, I want to do exactly what I want to do?
And this is the interesting part. I think I'm still on the journey of discovering it, which I'm going to give the brief history. Many would say at this point, you figured it out, but I don't think it's that way. It's a similar thing to me when somebody says, just be yourself. Being yourself is not a flip of the switch. We lose it throughout the years because we try to put all the societal filters on us of how we should be, how we should act, and what we should do. I started off, I got my doctorate in physical therapy, and then because partially I thought that's what I liked, and because that's what my parents said, that's the smart thing, follow the head, do the thing that's going to bring you a bunch of money, stable job, all of those things. I hated it in the end. I loved the actual physical therapy. I hated the documentation. So I had my piece of passion in it, but everything else kind of fell away. So then even getting into business, I was still controlled by this idea of I'm starting my own business, but I should follow the thing I have a degree in, which that's not necessarily true. But still, the head is saying logically, people will pay you for this because you have a degree in it. And then stripping that away and saying, what else am I actually good at and that I love? What is it that people come to me and say, my goodness, you're so good at this? And I go, really? That's easy. Can't everybody do that? Huge spotlight on that. If it resonates with anybody, look into whatever that is, because most likely if you can find a way to monetize that, not that you have to monetize everything, but you can live with those things. So it's still been that purpose of how do I make sure that I do the passionate thing, but then not overthink it too much and make it only be about money. But at the same time, the reality is we need money. So I think that is something that I always like touching on with this passion thing is, yes, it's follow your heart. But what is following the heart? It's probably your head. So while your heart is leading, the head is still picking up the pieces and making sure that it's all going to work in the long run.
Yes, and everything is going to work out in the long run. The thing is, people have a very short fuse. Why? Because it's very easy for somebody who goes to the college for 4 years to say to them, okay, you're not going to generate any income for 4 years because you're going to be involved in school, right? So after this 4 years, you can expect to have your resume and to start working and generating a significant amount of income. But when we talk about personal growth and when we follow our heart, obviously, this is not the traditional path. This is something that we are actually trailblazers, because for each, it's an individual path. And people who already even have successes, right? They still have the times when something doesn't work. Why? Because they constantly searching for the new ways, for something that somebody haven't done before. So this is the beauty of it. It just like actually you allow yourself to step out of the box, step out of the comfort zone, and say to yourself, you know what, I believe in myself. Because if you do not believe that these things work, it's just proving that you do not believe in yourself. But we all had the past experiences in our lives when we have been succeeded at something, right? There were a lot of successes that we could actually, if you sit, we recognize them. And not necessarily that we knew that it's going to lead us to that success, but because there was something that driving us to do that, we decided, yes, let me do that and see where it's going to take me, right? But the thing is, the more risky it is, the more winning it's going to be, right? But at the same time, not everybody is a risk taker. I should say majority of people are not. They want some stability, they want some comfort, they want to be staying in the familiar zone. That's why this path is not for everybody, like we are talking about entrepreneurship. But at the same token, it's always good to connect with the gifts that you have, because money is going to be the byproduct of what is driving you. When you wake up every morning with that passion, knowing that you are going to feel more alive because you are actually getting to do what you truly love to do, that's a completely different living style of, just even experiencing the life as it is.
I think the other part is the falling in love with the why of what it is that you're doing, because when you get to the how, a lot of times the I have to go live on this. I have to do this for social media. I have to learn how to do sales for myself if I'm a solopreneur, and I have to close business when I talk to people and understand what a sales process is. It can really pull you away from the passion when all of a sudden you're realizing, oh, the how is really, really difficult in all of these things. And that's one of the reasons I know even you speak so much about, don't worry about the how. The how is none of your business. The why is because if you focus on the why, that's what fuels you as you get through the how, because it can beat you down. Most people go, oh, great, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to be making all this money within 6 months. And you see social media posts, oh, are you a coach and you're not making $100,000 a month? We can solve that for. No, they can't. No, they can't. And I recently got this further and further affirmed for me through affiliate marketing. I met with 2 separate people with affiliate marketing, which fair. I'm not going to say names, but later both of them said that they had money issues. And yet they were having these promises of building people 6-7 figure businesses. And you immediately go, well, how does that work if you're not doing it for yourself? So I think that there's a lot of that out there where people think the timing of it, that everything is going to come now, and that if I just do this the right way, if I just know the right how, I'm going to figure it all out. But in reality, it's knowing the right why that will get you through a multitude of hows so you can find the right one. Fail many times, but then finally succeed.
Absolutely. But the way I always, remind people how the energy works. And it's true, whatever they are saying, that you are gonna be, like that successful, but it's not gonna happen overnight, right? So we know you have to put the work. And sometimes it's all about your awareness. Like I always say, it's never the lack of the resources in the universe, it's the lack of our awareness. It took me 2 years to tap into something that I finally in, to realize, oh my God, how come I never seen that opportunity? And it's true, like sometimes you have to experience it for yourself. Sometimes there is nobody there to tell you, and you kind of, just stumbling blindfolded, go in one corner to another until you actually see that light in the tunnel. So that's why it's so important to find these great professionals. And I totally agree with you. A lot of people upper train themselves that they are very successful, but they haven't reached. That's why, like, I only, get coached by the people who I see already having the success, not just talking about it, but I actually see, right? Because from from the publicity, from where they are on the other people's stages, these are the people who are verified, and those are the people, okay, obviously they are not as like cheap as others, but I'd rather invest in somebody who really can take me to where I have to be than just saving some money, and at the end of the time it's not really taking me where I'm supposed to be. So it's all about choosing the right people, the right mentors, the right coaches, and also knowing that it does work. But believe it or not, you have to commit at least a year. A year is the minimum when you go after something that is new to you, because remember, it's all about learning curve, and something that you're going to be trying and testing. And even the most remarkable people who have these strategies for marketing, for sales, it's still a lot of trial and error, because whatever works for one person is not necessarily going to work for other person.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I usually have a quote for the year. My last quote from last year that I usually create these myself from various different other ones was, "The concepts are few, but the methods are many." And I said it many, many times to myself as well. And the premise was that a lot of times we're being sold methods. The vast majority of time, you're always being sold a method. And the question is, does it fulfill the main concept? And if you're doing the concept, you probably don't need more methods. So in terms of marketing, if you're doing some kind of marketing, you don't need to be on social media. You don't need to be going live. Will it help? Yes, it might help. But the word need, I think, is a lot of times so overused. And then we just get torn apart into all these different little bits of attention that has to go everywhere. And we don't accomplish anything because we didn't focus on just a few major concepts for the entire year, just like you said.
Yes, and I have to attest to that, because I was always under impression, the more, let me, sign up for this course, let me enroll here. And it felt like, the next thing that I'm signing up for is going to be the solution. But it turns out that I was just spreading my energy thin. Again, we are talking about energy, right? And I couldn't dedicate myself to something once. So the thing is that I discovered for myself, and that's what I'm teaching my clients, and that's what my coaches are, like emphasizing. You cannot spread thin your energy. So you have to focus on one. Take one course, do one thing, try one strategy, and see where it's going to take you. Develop one product, and so on and so forth. Because when we try to diversify, we can start diversifying once something is already successful and it generates the income, steady income, then we can diversify. But at this point, everything, like when we start, just commit yourself, do what you have to do, and patience is the virtue. Because in this work, you cannot get very upset, because your frequency goes down, and guess what? You actually push more the timing, because you have to eventually match the frequency of the desired outcome. And it's there, it's already here. The reality you want is already here. But it takes is just to tune into that channel. And in order to tune into that channel, you have to do a lot of inner work. And people don't realize it, because the habits, the patterns that don't serve us, that don't serve our vision, are actually predominating. And even when we start doing this work, we constantly go back, revert to our familiar. And it takes a lot of rigorous work with ourselves to remind ourselves to be conscious of it, and to use the tools in order to actually shift our energy and see these results. But I would say the minimum is a year. That's why when you see like these amazing coaches, they are not going to sign you up for a couple of months. they already commit you, they want you to commit at least for a year, because that's where you're going to see some changes, right? That's exactly how things are happening. But again, we are not here to scare. We are actually here to encourage, right? Because just to say that, okay, you spent all your life doing something that you just do because of generating income, versus you spent a couple of years, but you get yourself on much higher level, and you're going to be your own boss and do exactly what you love to do, and expand, have the team, and you could have the wealth, not just money, but the true wealth that actually is going to be, like for your own good and for good of others.
I want to make the math of it make sense to people as well, because if we just take this idea that it's going to take you a year, if you commit and focus onto one thing, it's going to take you a year for that to really become something fruitful. If you then decide that you want to add a second thing to it, realize you can't focus on two things at the same time, as much as we may falsely believe that we can. Now it's going to probably take you 2 years. So if you're now focusing on a third, fourth, fifth thing, and you're saying, I'm 3 years in, I've been doing these 5 things, I don't know what's going on. Well, by the math of it, it's probably going to take you 5 years. So go back to just the one. And with that, I actually, Irina, have a question for you. To make it kind of simpler for, if you were to give somebody that might be listening to this, the one thing in terms of manifestation, since you're a manifestation coach, what is one thing that you would want somebody to focus in if they're just going, I want to get a little bit better at manifesting as I go through this year? Is there one thing you would give them to focus on?
Yes, I would invite them to start every morning with the affirmation, because we go back to, you have to live your authentic self, right? You have to be your authentic self in order to experience the life to the fullest. It means to connect to your passion and purpose, because we all have the gifts inside of us, but some of us don't even know. And we were just having this conversation offline, right? Where you just said that, oh my gosh, somebody was telling you, you're so good at it. And we ourselves are not aware of it. So it takes sometimes another person to pull these answers or bring that attention to ourselves. So I would advise everybody who's listening to this live, or gonna be watching the replay, is to have this affirmation. If they don't really know where their passion is, or what is there for them to do, or what is the gift for them to discover, every morning when you wake up, just say that affirmation. I wake up every morning with passion and purpose. And if you religiously keep saying it for at least a month, it's gonna move you somewhere. You're gonna start seeing some signs, or somebody's gonna say something, and you're gonna be directing your energy in the way that you truly want to be. But you have to do it every day. So that's something that I can actually give as a tip and recommendation to everybody who's listening and still trying to discover what's out there for them.
And I'm going to add to that, to kind of summarize the entirety of our quick little conversation, is that as you do this and things come up for you, follow your heart and not your head, because your heart is going to be far more in tune to the affirmation than necessarily your head.
I love it so much. And that's true, because, when we start putting our logic, our intuition, connect to our intuition, because our intuition always works for the first 3 to 5 seconds. And after that, our logic mind, chick, 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 comes in, and it's going to start to say why it's not going to be able to happen. Are you crazy? Why do you do this? No, remember your past experience, blah, blah, blah. So listen to the first 3 to 5 seconds when something comes up for you. And if you remember to do that and practice it more, you'll see you're going to start unfolding some amazing opportunities for yourself. So we are so excited about this series, and let us know in the comments, what did you like, what you're connected to, and what would you love to learn more about. And we'll see each other next week on another episode. Thank you. Bye.